Even since I started game shooting, not that long ago in the grand scheme of history, things have changed. Fashions have changed, the way driven shoots are held and the way that birds are shown have changed. And so it's only right to think that the equipment that we are using has changed as well. And so I have brought out two guns today that showcase that quite nicely. I've got a Maxim game and the new Maxim hybrid game. And I'm not going to be testing these alone. I'm going to be joined by world and Olympic champion Richard Faulds. Richard, it's fair to say that game guns have changed a bit over the years, and you've been shooting longer than me. What do you think that change is, mostly?
I mean, if you wind the clock back to when I first started, obviously side-by-sides were still a lot more prominent, but as you say, as time has changed, more people progressed to the over and unders. Originally, the kind of the lightweight, short-barreled stuff, but now, especially in, I'd say, probably the last 10, 15 years, the trend has gone possibly more to the heavier clay gun side of stuff for the high bird shooting, heavier loads, a higher volume stuff. But obviously your lightweight game guns, whether they're a side-by-side or an over and under, are going to be kicking a lot more with your heavier loads. So I think the natural progression to a heavier gun, longer barrels,
Bit more control.
yeah, it was only ever going to happen at some point. So now, the kind of the guns that we've got here, the hybrid game sporters, I would say are probably about bang on.
Yeah, so I've got that traditional game gun. It weighs in at £7.7. You've got the hybrid game. And hybrid game basically means game barrels on an otherwise sporting gun, which is £8.4, which most people would say is too heavy. It's not that heavy, right?
It's not. I mean, it's well balanced. Obviously, you can see the gun's empty. It's well balanced. It's pretty much on the pin.
Yeah, just in front with those 32s.
Yeah.
Whereas this has got 30-inch barrels and is a clear inch in front of the hinge, which is the setup for most game guns, right? Because they want that losing weight's easiest done through the stock, and so doesn't make for a pleasant end result a lot of the time in the shooting aspect, as much as it might look more traditional or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these the hybrids, they've got, you can probably see they've got a palm swell, which is nice. I've never really shot with a palm swell on any of my guns at all until I got these last season.
Game guns or as sporters as well?
Sporter as well.
Interesting. Have you found that transition?
To start with, it felt weird, but the more I shot them, the more I actually liked it. It's something nice, and I'm sure it helps take a bit of the recoil out.
Undoubtedly.
In addition, we've got a nice big soft rubber recoil pad here, and they really don't kick, even with the heavy loads. They're very, very comfortable to shoot. Whereas obviously, if you're going to be putting a 34 or 36 gram load through one of those, 7.5 pound guns, you're going to know it. So no, I'm delighted with these. They shoot really nicely. They look the part. What more could you want?
Shall we go and find some game-like targets and shoot them?
Let's do it.
Let's go for it. Has the way people have approached game shooting changed? Do you think? Do people train more? Are we better game shots than we've ever been?
Yes and no. I think the average standard of the game shot in general would be still fairly mediocre, but there is a much bigger percentage of people who do take it much more seriously. There's a lot of people now who are taking up in-field coaching as an option, to have an instructor with them on the day.
Is that worth it? It must be worth it, right?
It is, and especially for people who are coming into it and are new to it. Not just the coaching on how to hit the birds, but what actually happens on the day, what goes on behind the scenes. A lot of people wouldn't understand that. But obviously it's very beneficial to have someone over your shoulder telling you what you're doing wrong on a particular shot. And the only problem is with, as we know, with game birds, is that every bird you shoot at is going to be different. Different height, different distance, different speed.
Does that make it a disadvantage to have that bigger, heavier gun in your head for some game, because game shooting is so versatile, heavier gun is less versatile, or is that wrong?
I mean, it depends on the type of shooting you're doing. If you're doing a lot of woodland shooting, snap shooting, then probably a heavy gun's not ideal. But if you're out in the open, on the downs or in a valley, then hopefully you've got the time to get the gun to where you need it.
You've got a few seconds to read the bird before it's gun mounting time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got a very high clay to contend with now. It's going to be very difficult stuff.
It's going to want a lot of lead.
Just showed.
It's going to want a lot of lead off this tower.
Woo! There we go.
Balls of dust.
Bosh, I'm retiring. It moves well. Like, it is light, it is front heavy. You have to be quite cautious not to completely the move, bluntly. Like, it's not the most forgiving moving, but if you just rip through stuff, I guess what this kind of traditional game gun is designed for is exactly that, just a more instinctive shot.
Yeah.
It does kick a bit more than the other one. It's my sort of first impressions. We had a few shots off camera, but it's £7.7, so.
Yeah, and there's no recoil pad. You've just got the wooden butt plate on this one as well. And at the end of the day, that is a delicate, lightweight game gun. So, ideally 28, 30 gram load at maximum through something like that.
It's not uncomfortable with an ounce load, but I can imagine if you're shooting some 34 grams at some bigger stuff all day, it's going to be a less pleasant experience.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a couple more and let's change over to the big gun. I guess immediately I'm always drawn to the bigger, heavier gun. They do feel easier to shoot most of the time.
You like a big weapon?
I love a big weapon in my hands. The hybrid game is, in my head, better balanced. Better balanced to me means more between the hands. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, I would definitely say so. And, ultimately that would hopefully make for a more consistent swing, at the end of the day on the slightly higher, more testing birds.
Is there room for a more front heavy gun? Keeps the gun swinging more for those who don't have a more controlled left hand, I guess.
Well, maybe, but at the end of the day, it's all personal preference. But I would always try and, advocate that a gun that balances between the hands is better than front heavy or back heavy.
So if you're going to go for that small stock, shorter barrels are probably in order. 28 inch, something like that would be a wiser choice.
Yeah.
You shoot so many clay guns, picking up a game gun or a clay gun that feels like a game gun or a game gun that feels like a clay gun is going to feel more familiar. Do you find it helps to have a game gun that is inherently very similar to your clay gun?
So, historically, I've always shot my pair of Invictus 5s for game until last season when I got this pair of Maxim hybrids from Matt at Anglo-Italian. And, straight away, to me, I noticed that they do handle very, very similarly, but, in that respect, they are also a little bit different.
Did you shoot an Invictus as your daily?
Correct, as my competition gun.
Just a standard sporter?
Standard sporter. It had the initial original fixed choke barrels, but I've since had them teagued. But again, they're 32-inch barrel, but they're well balanced, and they don't look out of place on the peg because they're side plate. They're game scene anyway, so they're ultimately they're not a million miles away from this type of spec gun anyway.
Automatically the recoil is significantly less. The move felt quicker and more controlled, whereas that I felt like I really had to drag it out because of that front end weight. This felt like it all just happened a little bit more naturally. Yeah,
you look a lot more controlled with that one, I've got to say. Obviously it's longer barrels, a bit heavier, and obviously having the longer barrel, they point much better as well, which helps on the higher stuff.
That's visually point, meaning it's got a longer sighting plane.
Correct, yes.
Overcooked that first shot.
It just didn't quite need the 5-foot lead you gave it with that first barrel.
Well, I was excited. Started a long way behind it, had a long way to go. I'm aware that nicer is a very subjective thing, that everyone likes different things, but I think there's nothing about this that is worse than that other than it's heavier. And that's only if you're, you know, struggle with weight.
Yeah. Is there anything you don't like about it?
No. I think in a straight up comparison, there is no disadvantage to having this. But I am young, and yeah, £8.4 is not that bad. Yeah, I wouldn't choose this to climb a mountain with. But I can't imagine even with sort of lower, sharper birds, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage.
No. I mean, yes, it is a pound or so heavier, but it's well balanced.
It feels faster because of the balance, right? So actually, the whole thing of heavier guns move slower is not true.
No.
Balance is what speeds guns up.
100%.
Just feels easy, moves easy.
Yeah.
I've always thought that game guns often are just, because people insist on putting 32-inch barrels on their lightweight game guns, I've always struggled to understand what the point is, balance-wise. 20 gauges, now we're talking. That gun in a 20 would probably be really nice.
Oh.
You always starting just on the back edge of that bird with the game?
With game, I tend to just touch the bird and then just pull off, yeah.
Just to stick with it for a second,
Yeah.
figure out what's going on, and then
Yeah,
wow.
exactly, because obviously, you know, they're not as predictable as a clay target. You know where a clay's going. So for me, I would start in front of most stuff on the clays, but on game, I do tend to shoot them slightly differently.
Okay. Just to help you, just in case it decides to flick a wing out and
Yeah,
make a turn.
Absolutely.
Oh, you are very smooth.
Thank you.
Is that something that's just come with age, skill, talent, natural talent? You've done that since day one?
The more you practice, the luckier you get, I guess.
Simple, yeah.
I don't know, shooting's the only thing I've ever been any good at, so make the most of it.
That's simple enough, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
The modelling career went pretty well, didn't it?
yeah, it didn't last long. So you always shoot the low bird first, make the most of it.
Yeah, get one in the bank, right? Before we continue shooting, let's actually have a little look over what we've got. I'm going to start at the front because it's pretty similar from the front to the back. We've got two different barrel lengths, a 32-inch on the hybrid game and a 30-inch on the game gun. Both guns feature solid mid and top ribs. They don't really offer much in way of technical advantage, but they do look really, really nice. Obviously, you'll understand that the benefit of a ventilated rib is more surface area and more cooling. But with game shooting, it's in the winter, you're not putting super volumes of shot through, and a little bit of hazing on the barrels isn't going to be the end of the world. Not that you're going to have it, because it'll be cold and windy. Hopefully for a good day's game shooting. Both guns are multi-choked and come with internal chokes, obviously aftermarket chokes, and, well, pretty much all manner of chokes are available, which is pretty cool. There is a slight difference. If we pop the forward off, we can see that the barrels on the game gun, the ribs on the game gun, are rounded, and I have not seen anything like that for ever. We've got the more traditional scalloped ones on the Sporter. I really like that. Doesn't do a lot, but just adds a slightly different way it catches the light. No technical advantage, but aesthetic advantage for sure. At the back we can see the monoblock. You've got that textured laser engraving on there that looks a little bit like Damascus. That's just designed to hold the oil without having a traditional pattern on there. I don't hate it, it serves a purpose, and everyone's unique, which is kind of cool. You'll see the proof marks. It is steel proofed 3-inch. Provided you put the right chokes in, you're good to go with whatever modern ammunition you want. The gun's got spring-loaded ejectors and is swung off of two trunnions inside of the action with one big bottom bite that locks it closed. The forend on both guns is the same. It's this rounded English, rounded American style, whatever you want to call it, rounded style with a push button detachment, as all Guarinis have, and laser checkering with a decent coverage. It's, well, it does what it's supposed to do, right? Stops your hand from slipping. All round quite nice. Little teardrop there, unengraved, and the forend iron is engraved, ready to match the action. The action on both guns is the Maxim engraving, which is a laser engraved action with hand finishing, just to add a bit more deep cuts on there, catches the light, adds a bit more texture, and just enhances the finish, adds some depth and a bit of personality, right? You'll either like this or you'll think it's too loud. I personally think it's quite nice. Certainly from a distance, it doesn't look too crazy, and up close there's a lot going on. You can really just, well, there's lots to look at, and that's no bad thing when it comes to engraving, right? With laser engraving, you go one of both ways. You either try and copy something traditional, or you do something like this, and I do like this a lot. Maxim on the bottom, Caesar Guarini and a little oval on the side, and it's pretty well covered on every aspect. The top lever, trigger guard, the works. The guns are auto-safe, as all game guns should be, just to make sure that it's safe every time you open that gun. On the top of both, you've got a selector, 2 dots for top, 1 dot for bottom, and, well, other than that, it's a pretty common Orgard and Caesar Guarini action inside. We've had a look inside them in the past. They're good, they're reliable, there's no real drama there. Where it really starts to change is the stocks. This hybrid game has a full pistol grip with palm swell. The comb is set higher on this gun, so you see a little bit more over the top of the gun in a more classic sporter way. For exact measurements, well, I don't know them off the top of my head, but they are on the Caesar Guarini website. On the back, you have a rubber recoil pad. As we said, that's going to reduce recoil substantially, or at least felt recoil substantially, which is a good thing, as is the palm swell, because you're going to be able to hold onto the gun a little better with your right hand. It's going to put your hand in a nice consistent position. There's videos we've done in the past on palm swells, generally speaking, considered to be a good thing. On the contrary, the game gun does not have that. It has a swept back open pistol grip, semi-pistol grip if you will, but it's been elongated from the traditional round grip that Guarini did, and I really think it's a good thing. It means your bottom finger doesn't fall off the bottom, means you can hold it, you can choke up it, you can do all manner of things to, well, work your way around it. Although you don't have a palm swell, there's still a substantial grip there to hold, which is nice. You'll also find this is a more versatile grip for game shooting. If you're shooting walked up, or you're just taking a shot in a pinch, if your hand's not in the perfect place, it's not going to be hugely detrimental. Other than that, the stock lines are significantly slimmer, and at the back you have a wooden recoil pad. The wooden recoil pads on Guarinis are hand fitted and finished onto the stock, and the finish on both these stocks is glossy and nice, and Guarinis are well known for just being a good looking and well finished thing. The downsides of a wooden recoil pad is that it kicks more, but if you're more about looks than technical benefits, then that's no bad thing, and I'm not actually judging on that. I do like a good looking gun, and I think overall this gun looks better than the other. But looks don't kill birds and looks don't break clays, and so when it comes down to the real choices in life, you have to perhaps think with your head more than your heart, although it is prettier. That's the key difference with stock. Obviously the barrel length is different. As we can see, the balance will be affected substantially by the fact you've got a lot less wood at the back here. So if we go over the hinge, it's front heavy, so we have to work about inch and a quarter in front to get the balance about right. Balance points are interesting, right, but it's about how it feels between the hands. You can feel that left hand weight with this gun, although the overall lightweightness does mean you'll be able to punch it and push it around a little more. It will inherently, if you're trying to move it slowly, move slower because you've got more weight out the front. The hybrid game, on the contrary, is about a quarter inch in front of the hinge. Really as close to where you'd want it as, well, perfect, I'd say. That will make it a little bit more versatile, a bit more forgiving, and allow you to move it a little bit more easily, I guess. All right, back to the clays. We haven't been that nice to the traditional game gun, and that's not that nice a thing to do, because it is objectively okay, right? It's about just horse and horses. Both of us prefer a more mid-weight, simple gun. This is way nicer to carry. That is its biggest win. A pound a weight lighter, best part of. 8477, best part of a pound.
Yeah.
There is some advantages to a less big grip, that more swept back grip. There is some advantages to a more versatile grip, right?
Yeah, I mean, if your hands aren't the biggest, then obviously, you know, having a slight palm swell is going to make that slightly harder. This one is just more of a traditional grip, slimmer, semi-pistol. So yeah, like I say, it is a much sleeker feel to it.
Yeah, my sort of thoughts with that is when you're in that boggy little woodland and a woodcock cuts out the side and you have to take the awkward shot with your feet wrong and everything, having a slightly smaller grip allows you to completely drop your hand out of it and hope for the best. Gives you more opportunities to make bad shots.
Ultimately, this is, you know, it's a much lighter gun, handles much quicker. So if you're doing a lot of snap shooting in woodlands or walked up days or stuff like that, then this gun would be the perfect.
You should be able to shoulder it a little bit quicker.
Yes.
So we found some walked up style targets and some more rough style targets on the ski field.
Cool.
I want to see you smoke them.
Okay.
With that first. Now. Yeah, let's just get on and shoot it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Feel your way into it, which I guess is where this comes into its own, right?
Yeah, it's
just
gonna
feel it and bang.
It's going to suit a much more instinctive style of shooting, rather than, you know, you're out in the open, higher, longer shots. And
it definitely looks the part. You can imagine the person who, I wouldn't say does it for the lifestyle, but enjoys the look and feel of the gun and the process of getting dressed and the process of having a more correct gun. This is probably more for them, right?
We'll go back to doing singles just so you get your confidence back before we start throwing pairs.
I've never had it, mate. Never had it. On a complete side note, mate, do you still feel as competitive and hungry as you always did?
100%.
You still want it? You're still going to go to the World Champs this year and still want it?
Absolutely. I hate losing. I hate it. And obviously now I've got Charlie snapping at my heels everywhere that we go.
Yeah,
and all he wants to do is just beat me, which he has done on several occasions.
That'll put him on the podium most times, so that's a pretty good person to beat.
Yeah, but no, I'm still super competitive, whether it's a Sunday shoot at your local registered or a World Championship. I still want to win every time I go.
No sign of it waning?
Unfortunately not.
Lucky you're still good. All right, go on, send it.
Well,
Richard, thank you for today. It's been an honour to come and shoot with you.
It's a pleasure.
I'm going to finish up with one question that's not pertinent to this video whatsoever. If you had one piece of advice for shooters, what would it be?
Enjoy every moment, get out as much as you can, have fun.
Simple as that.
And hit as many as you can.
Don't miss.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Mate, thank you very much. I think we were pretty conclusive which one our favourite was. That hybrid game is just a bit sweeter to shoot. But hey, let's go and stick us in a rough woodland and we'd probably change our minds pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, I've shot this for, I shot it for half of last season. I've shot it on pigeons since the end of the season, and for me, it's the perfect all-round game gun.
Both of these guns sit just below $6,000, so they're not pricing up the hybrid game to make you pay for the palm swell or whatever, which is a nice thing to do generally. It makes the decision, well, it might make it harder, it might make it easier. There's no excuse not to go for the big boys gun if you want. And I say big boys gun, and I joked earlier that it's a bit yobbish. It is definitely more of a modern thing. And I guess some of you like it and some of you won't. Let me know down in the comments what you actually think, and well, it was pretty cool to go shoot on Richard Faulds. Thank you for watching TGS Outdoors. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. This channel would not be possible without the support of our amazing sponsors. They've supported the channel for a long time. We only work with people we love and whose product we trust. If you want to support the channel too, make sure you check out channel memberships. There's early access content, there's some pretty cool exclusive release content.
My view is you never want to let the bird get past you because you can't see under your gun.
And occasionally we go clay shooting together. We just appreciate your support. Even if you can't, your view is great. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.